It's about the restoration of our republic. We want to educate, encourage, enable the power. We stand for integrity, honesty, self-reliance, self-defense, and most importantly, no compromise on our foundational principles. This is America's Voice Now.
Find America's Voice Now on Facebook and at americasvoicenow.org. Here's Michael Evans.
Good morning, America. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Michael Evans. I'll be your host this morning. I'm glad to see so many of you out there this morning on our website. And that's great news. I see you guys are spread out all over the country. Sanford, Maine? Lebanon. Sounds like Maine or upstate Vermont or something. Clarksville, I see Lincoln, Nebraska out there. Kayenta, I'm not sure where that is. Glen Rose, I see folks all over the country. I see guys up there by Michigan and Chicago, down by Florida, all out there in Texas, out in the Southwest. I see California out there. Glad to have you on board. You know, we took the day off yesterday because it was Memorial Day, and frankly, I do this show 5 days a week, and I almost never get a break. So I took the lead and took the day off, and glad that I did that. I needed a break. Thanks for riding with us today. We're going to cover a number of different issues this morning, including the professor who now admits that he developed and created, in concert with other knuckleheads, but he created and developed Common Core as an apology to his white privilege. And I kid you not. I'm going to give it to you in his own words. I mean, that is disturbing. He admits that he helped write Common Core to atone for white male privilege. I have been given a lot of privilege that I didn't earn, he says. Wow. Hey, thanks for making sure that the rest of us are atoning for your mistake. I mean, where does he get off putting the nation in a position of apology and atonement for something that he feels guilty about because of his own mental sickness and disease? Our second topic is going to be the IRS has now come out and they've made the statement that they're going to block employers from being able to essentially kick you off as a worker into the healthcare exchanges, which was the plan, of course, of most employers. They were looking at this and saying, hey, there's no way we're going to bounce this thing from a couple of $1,000s a year we contribute to every employee to being forced to give everybody a health plan. So what we're going to do is just pay the penalty and kick them off. Or we're just going to give them an allowance and let them go do what they have to do. Well, the IRS has come out to stop that. And the reason they have is because the Obama administration cannot allow the entire nation to see what a disaster Obamacare really will be when literally millions upon millions more Americans are kicked off their health insurance plans under their jobs. That would be the final straw in the death spiral that would cause this thing to go down and crater in like a test flight on a jet that has no wings. Our third topic, White House points out that the CIA, or I shouldn't say they point out, others pointed out that the CIA totally blew it, or the White House totally blew it and exposed the head of station for the CIA in Afghanistan. Talk about an inept flub. Now they're trying to cover it up. And then our third and final, and we're going to also talk about the fact that Karzai, the penny nickel anti-tyrant over there in Afghanistan, has dissed Obama and refuses to meet with him while he snuck over there for a Memorial Day photo op, basically. And then I'm going to talk to you about something unique, and I think this is a program which everybody can get behind. There's a doctor who's posted an article up on our website, on our Facebook page, about how he is going to take matters into his own hands, but in a good way. Here's what he has to say. It's called Stone Oak Eye Clinic, and he says, if you're a South Texas veteran who cannot access the VA for needed eye surgery or ophthalmic or visual problems, friend me on Facebook and message me, or call my office at 210-490-6759, or contact me at stoneoakeyes.com. I cannot sit by while our brave men and women lose vision, stroke, or worse, waiting on some secret list. This is on my heart. I'm not worthy, but I'm humbled to care for you great Americans. I got to tell you, folks, there is a man of honor and integrity. There's a man of great courage and patriotism and fortitude. And I tell you, this is a message and an example that every other American can get behind, irrespective of what you do, irrespective of what your job is, who you work for, what company or business you run. There's no reason why we cannot step forward and do what the VA has completely, and the federal government has completely abdicated their responsibility towards our vets in their duty and obligation. He goes on to say, I don't know the extent of the access problem in South Texas, but I'll just start and end each clinic serving a vet who cannot get the medical care they need at the VA. I can see someone at 7:45 a.m. tomorrow morning. Just let me know. I believe in the Hippocratic Oath and that all patient info is 100% sacred and private. We got this in honor of those who went before us. Happy Memorial Day. Folks, I got to tell you, that's mind-blowing to me. All right, let's get into our first topic, because this is an issue that we're gonna gather and learn more about this as we go forward this morning. A couple of quick news blurbs I don't want to leave out before we get into this Common Core issue. Greenwald, who was exposing the Snowden stuff, has come out and he's going to lever a bombshell on the world. And we haven't seen it yet, so I'm just going to give you the quick down and dirty on it. But basically, apparently he has the names of the victims of surveillance, and he's going to release them. Glenn Greenwald, the journalist who received the trove of documents from Edward Snowden, told the Sunday Times that Snowden's legacy would be shaped in large part by this, quote, finishing piece, which is still to come. He promises that it will be the biggest revelation from nearly 2 million classified files. His plan is to publish the names of everyone that has been in the United States for an 11-month period. I'm sorry. Let me start that again. His plan is to publish the names, and of course, that is going to create all kinds of havoc. But these are the folks that are essentially the ones who were surveilled. He says one of the big questions when it comes to domestic spying is, who have been the NSA's specific targets? Are they political critics and dissidents and activists? Are they genuinely people that we'd regard as terrorists? He says, as with a fireworks show, you want to save the best for last. The last one is the one where the sky is all covered in spectacular multicolored hue. We don't know what this is going to look like. We don't know whether this is going to be a long list, a short list, a brief list, whether it's going to include the names of average individuals, whether it's going to include names of people that they've been monitoring who are members of the press, the media, whether it's going to have the names of individuals within the government themselves. We don't know. But I got to tell you, it's noteworthy and it's newsworthy. There is also a law which was rewritten by the government that allows them to read email and cloud stored data that's over 6 months old, and they claim without a search warrant. Now, a number of the technology companies have come out and started fighting about this. These are the companies that offer these cloud storage services. They're trade associations and some lobbying groups, and they're pressing Congress to tighten these laws up because essentially the Congress took the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, and which is about a 30-year-old law. That's the excuse they've been using to monitor and violate American individuals' privacy. And what they've done is, in typical fashion, they rewrote it to meet and hit their own ends. So essentially, they have done what they call a redefinition, or they go back in and they look at it and they figure out, okay, where can we make a determination that this law can be violated in some way by a legal definition that we loosen up. And that's essentially what they've done. All right. Here's the issue with this guy, this professor, who admits that he helped write Common Core to atone for white male privilege. Folks, when you hear this, you're going to be stunned. This is from Campus Reform, and they've provided a video that shows this college professor who helped to write Common Core education standards. And in it, he admits that he helped write the standards, in essence, to atone for his white male privilege. Wait until you hear what the crowd has to say when he says that. This is Granite State College professor David Pook, P-O-O-K, which I think should be, the P should be removed and the K should be inserted there, so it's David Kook. He's speaking in favor of Common Core at the New Hampshire Institute of Politics on Monday. This is last Monday, obviously. He says he was part of writing the standards and gives a very curious reason as to why. First off, you have to hear the guy who introduces he's another pinhead at the table, but wait until you hear what these people have to say, because it's actually unforgivable. Really.
Every teacher that's using it basically is saying this is inspiring a closer and more engaged student body. So the people that are actually using it like it. And again, in terms of the local control, you still have local control. So if you want higher standards, if that is your genuine point, then you can go ahead and do the higher standard in the process.
Okay, so this is the first guy, and he's about to introduce Pook. And he's basically stating that everybody who tries Common Core likes it. And, this is the same mantra we hear about 90% of the country wants gun control. It's an absolute flat-out lie. And this stuff is right out of Goebbels' book. If you say the lie big enough, long enough, and often enough, everybody will believe it. I'm sick and tired of liars. And this stupid idiot actually has the nerve to try to, feed this kind of propaganda as if it's truth. He should be ashamed of himself. I apologize for the quality of this, but this thing was filmed, from in the middle of an audience, so there's a lot of hissing and background noise. But here comes David Pook.
Was indeed totally transparent, and I'm going to defer now to David and Bill.
Transparent, my foot.
I'm not paid to be here either. I'm just an interested teacher who helped write the standards. And the reason why I helped write the standards and the reason why I am here today is that as a white male in society, I'm given a lot of privilege that I didn't earn. And as a result, I think it's really important that all...
So you hear the crowd boo him in the background, and some jerk up on the podium says, "Hey," as if they're all dogs to be brought to heel, right? This makes me sick. I want to vomit when I hear this guy.
All kids get an equal opportunity to learn how to read, and I think I had decided advantages as a result of who I was, not being any choice of mine. And when I walk into places like Roberto Clemente High School on the west side of Chicago, I think it's really important that those kids learn how to read just as well as I had the opportunity to read. And in creating an equitable educational opportunity for all kids, I think this is actually the greatest lesson we can teach our kids.
You see, this maladjusted piece of human excrement actually has the nerve to ignore the fact that we are spending $29,000 a year, which I talked to you about a week and a half ago, on every student in the nation. And at $29,000 a year, 80% of them can't read. But that's not the fault of Common. That's not a solution based upon bringing, or a reason to bring Common Core in as a solution. The true solution is to go back to what we already know and was tried and true and worked in the past. We didn't always have an 80% failure to live rate. We didn't always have an 80% failure to be able to add 2 and 2. We didn't always have in this country a failure to be able to read by 80% of the students. So why do we have it now? We have it now because every one of these teachers, number one, and every student or every teachers union in every school system is insistent upon putting into play these systems and processes that turn your child into an automaton. They're not interested in actually teaching what really matters. They're interested in teaching social justice, not equal justice. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the problem. This is not about social justice. This is about equal justice. And I'm getting tired of hearing that if we just make everybody equal socially, everyone will be equally capable. That's not true. It doesn't. Look, you've got millions of children who are in schools today that don't want to learn. And there's nothing that you can do to make them learn, any more than you can make a heroin addict stop shooting a needle into his arm if he doesn't want to, or a smoker to quit smoking, or an alcoholic to quit drinking, or a politician to stop lying. You see, they either want to or it won't matter. And this is the same nonsense that we've been dealing with now for generations, as we've seen our capabilities in education descend to the point where we're dragging every student down to the lowest common denominator. It has absolutely nothing to do with what's right. It has absolutely nothing to do with what's in the best interest of your student. What it has everything to do with is how they can get your child to become a little automaton robot that will do exactly as he's told, not question anything. He will be emasculated, and in the case of your sons, they are being feminized and emasculated, told you can't raise your voice, you can't argue, you cannot fight back or push back against anything that you disagree with. I got to tell you, folks, that is nothing but brainwashing nonsense. You know, the human race is a race that is intended to conflict. This argument that, you know, you should always solve everything with talking, that's great as long as everyone's solving everything with talking. But the tyrants who are stealing your child's future, they are not using talk. They are using actions. And sitting there trying to plead with a bully while he's beating you is absolutely stupid. This piece of crap, the reason I helped write the standards and the reason why I am here today is that as a white male in society, I am given a lot of privilege that I didn't earn. I think it's really important that all kids get an equal opportunity to learn how to read, just as well as I had the opportunity to read. Apparently, he failed grammar. And in creating an equitable education opportunity for all kids. I think this is actually the greatest lesson we can teach our kids. Now, the greatest lesson we can teach our kids is that when they hear someone like you come into the room, they run the other way like you have leprosy and the bubonic plague all together at one time. That's the truth, America. And everything else that these people try to teach you is an absolute propagandic lie. You need to get your kids out of school or make sure your schools will reject Common Core and go back to what we knew. You ever see that test out there that shows what a civics test was like back in the 30s and the 40s? Most Americans can't pass it today. In fact, they just proved it the other day when that fella, I can't think of what his name is, went out there with a phone and a microphone and a camera, and he asked the same questions that immigrants are asked when they pledge allegiance to this country and swear an oath to be a loyal citizen. Guess what? Less than 50% could pass the test. They can't even tell you how many senators there are in the Senate. They can't tell you who the president and the vice president are. These are people who live here. The truth is, our country is almost not worth saving. Almost. And I got to tell you, for those of you parents out there who have been heard to say, you know, I'll do anything for my kid. I'd die to save my kid and protect my child. I'd fight through hell and back to. Okay, guess what? I'm putting a direct and open challenge to you. I'm calling you out. Start doing it instead of talking about it. Because right now, your kid's life, your kid's spirit, your kid's mind, and your kid's heart are under direct threat. All right, we're going to take a break. Before we do, there's two things you need to know about. One is American Resume Service has graciously agreed to help support this program by offering their $200 resume development package to any individual who needs assistance in getting a job. They take your existing resume, they tear it completely apart, they spend some time with you to find out exactly where your strengths and weaknesses lie, and then help rewrite the resume to best suit your job interviews and the application of what you're trying to accomplish in this job that you're looking for. They are offering this $200 package for 50% off only to America's Voice Now listeners. And in addition to that, they are then taking that same $100 and they're donating 100% of that to America's Voice Now so that we can continue to keep this program on the air. There's 20 packages that are available that will generate an opportunity for you to get out there with a resume that is qualified and well-written and well-designed so that you will show the best light. Remember that a resume only gets you the interview. And if you don't have one of those done well, then more often than not, you never even get to the interview part. And at the same point in time, it will generate revenue that will help keep this program on the air. I encourage you to participate. You can go to American Resume Service. That's AmericanResumeService.com, 417-264-2486, or you can email them at info@AmericanResumeService.com. Make sure that you tell them that Mike from America's Voice Now sent you over, because that's how you qualify for the 50% discount. All right, want you to make sure that you participate with our friends over at Battery Station. You can find them on the web at batterystation.com. They are a strong and avid supporter of this program and have been for many, many years. You want to help yourself and your fellow patriots? Patronize those people who think like you and put their money where their mouth is. You can do that by going to the folks over at Battery Station at batterystation.com. You can call them at 417-257-7799. There's a ton of products they carry that aren't on their website, but they'll be more than happy to help you out. And while you're at it, you can swing by and see AtlasSurvivalShelters.com. That's AtlasSurvivalShelters.com. In addition, if you're looking for some great products that you can get, you can go to SurvivalByPreparedness.com. That's SurvivalByPreparedness.com. You can also go to SpringCreekBeef.com. That's SpringCreekBeef.com. Both those companies offer you 100% all-natural grass-fed beef, no hormones, no shots, no nothing, just no grain, and basically just 100% grass-fed beef like we've always grown in this country. And it's good for you, and they ship around the nation. So help yourselves out there. We'll be back in just a minute. You're listening to America's Voice Now. My name is Mike Evans. You can communicate with me directly at mike@americasvoicenow.org. That's mike@americasvoicenow.org. We'll be right back.